13 headed out this morning, over. Welcome back to the Sunshine State Rails. Camped out this Saturday morning under the US 301 bridge in Bradenton, the Tropicana yard switcher, labeled 0705, pulls 13 loaded reefers out of the yard, loaded with Tropicana products to go north today. As a beginning to each normal morning, the crew of this train would pull this consist out past the switch in the foreground and then shove northward up to the US 301 crossing about a mile northwest and have the road power, which is in the background for today's 0823, hook onto the loads there. But this morning, as both a time saver and likely a way to keep traffic from getting stuck on US 301, they're backing the power south of the yard onto their train across 26th Avenue. The train is short enough to do this, but even if it wasn't, it keeps traffic from getting stuck on the much busier US 301 flying overhead.
What's your location, Earl? Yeah, I'm at the 911 right now. We got about 4 or 5 miles left? Yeah, about 4 or 5. Alright, as soon as you're done, Act 23 just finished up. They're going to be ready to come back. Alright,
As I mentioned, this would normally be done about a mile northwest of the US 301 crossing, but locomotives hanging out on the crossing for even a minute or two causes extreme hang-ups on the road, making this a much more convenient option. SD40-3 number 4062 would be our leader today. This was my main intention for coming out today, but a whole nother one would pop up midway through the day.
He's about 4 miles out. I told him as soon as he hops off the train to give it up, I'll get you going. Nobody, if you want to stay here, that's fine. As soon as he gives it up, I'll get you going. Y'all be here waiting, please. Thanks, okay. 6.8, 082310, engine 1060, 4062, stickle 180, operate on the main track, north direction from AZA 916.8 on the main to NESC Stamp on the main, over. Good reback, your 98496, okay, to finish with 1035, TMD. 1035, TMD, over. That's right, yeah, we gotta keep that hot juice moving now. Yeah, it's hot, alright. Fellas, y'all call me when you get close to East Tampa. Alright, we'll do it.
10:45 a.m. 082310 has been given permission on the entirety of the Palmetto subdivision in the north direction, and the Big Manatee River drawbridge is coming down on command. So off our 13-car train blasts from Bradenton. A laxed Saturday on the Palmetto subdivision. What all is new here? Y'all have seen these spots a million times. Though I must admit though, I do miss the days of the Palmetto sub where the juice train didn't have those cryo-trans reefers. They were a cool sight at first, but they've lost their interest. On my end anyway. Rolling down on the last mile to the Little Manatee River, modernization is soon to show itself. It's been a few good months since I've caught a train down on this subdivision, and it's soon to show. Remember these APP warning signals for the Little Manatee River? Yeah, those are gone. I had no idea that they were going to replace these, but they did. It's not greatly visible, But here's the south side one as 823 passes it. And continuing down US 301, crossing the Little Manatee River and pulling onto the back streets of the access road to the north side signal, it confirmed that the north side went down too, all in favor of the aluminum masts. As a way to compare this spot before and after, compare this spot here to my current video intros. Here we are, a bit of a ways north of there now, at the Alafaya River, popular for both commercial boats and huge freightliners, which commonly dock at the Mosaic Riverview Phosphate plant just across the street. The Alafaya River is almost identical to the Little Manatee River, with it being an opening swing span. Also of note here is the bridge tender building. When trains on this subdivision call the Alafaya River Bridge Tender, they're always calling this building here. This tiny building is the nerve center for the entire Palmetto subdivision, as soon to be every bridge on the Palmetto subdivision will be remotely controllable from right here. The Alafaya River still has one of its old original permissive signals standing, but it's soon to go down with the others on the Palmetto sub and Tampa Terminal sub because of positive train control being installed along that entire route. Part of me wants to assume that that's also the reasoning behind why the Little Manatee signals have gone down themselves, even though this entire line south of East Tampa, about a mile north of here, is dark territory all the way to Bradenton. So nothing is dispatcher controlled down here. A handful of miles later out of Bradenton, and the juice train, 0823, pulls into Yeoman Yard, diverging off here at Control Point TS, a spot that I'm sure y'all are familiar with if you've been here a while. Though this small stretch to Tampa was only the first fraction of this juice's journey, we thought it would be the end of ours. That was until a certain heads up turned our heads to the north, and we found ourselves back on the road a few minutes later. After hearing said heads up, where would we find ourselves after getting back on the road and getting on I-75 north? Lake Panasoffkee. If y'all have seen any of my S-Line chasing videos, then this spot will be almost mundane. We'd pull off into a grassy field to await what we heard was on the way south. As we were waiting, Q453 snuck up on us while we were sitting in the car. Nothing special on him as I saw his engines go by, though it was a nice opportunity to relax and watch a train and see how the spot would work for our train that was on the way. With Q453 clearing, me moving down to the tracks, and a thunderstorm that threatened to ruin the whole thing, the train that would just make the day for me was only miles away. Rolling south, loaded down heavy, was NO4104, an as-needed coal shipment out of Evansville, Indiana, down to Orlando, Florida's Stanton Energy Center. Down south we blasted after our Black Diamond shipment, although it wasn't exactly planned at the beginning of the day. I do still have plans to do a dedicated chase of one of these trains all day when we have the time, with that possibly including a run to the plant itself. However, that's something for a future video. For now, it was just focusing on the train at hand, who was of interest to me because it was a coal train, and he had 2 locomotives on the head rather than just one, which is what he had last time we saw one of these. Rolling through the woods, we can see that there's another train in Bushnell siding. This would be a 782 going back north, halted for our Black Diamonds. Rolling down into Bushnell, the traffic lights which would catch us there would make for some interesting side-by-side shots of coal hoppers rolling through Bushnell. fair amount of chasing and pacing later, we get down to the south end of Lakuchi Siding for our next ground level shot, just north of the all too familiar Dade City. Orlando is the most common receiver of coal in Florida nowadays besides Bostwick and Palatka, so much so that you can see many different types of coal hoppers used on these Orlando coal trains. And it seems like they're all getting used right now because as of this filming there were 5 loaded coal trains on their way to Orlando in various parts of the US, this being one of them, with CSX GEVO number 3157 operating as a mid-train distributed power unit to help with the tonnage of this coal train. These coal trains always have at least 2 engines, however this DPU setup commonly warrants 1 in the middle and only 1 leading, but in this case we have 2 leading, and that's what I like to see. Continuing south, we roll through Dade City.
CSX 1040 104 locomotive 971, post limited south end Dade City southbound.
This would be our last stop along the chase, Richland Crossovers. We're about a mile north of Vitus Junction, where this train's gonna turn to the southeast and use the Vitus subdivision to run down towards Lakeland, but first, they're gonna tie down in the middle of the woods at the siding of Stokes, probably until the sun goes down, which is something that the Orlando trains commonly do, and is partially why they're so annoying to try to catch. But once they get another crew, they'll keep on going into Lakeland, turning east again at the Lakeland Junction, and continuing east out to Auburndale, continuing straight, and thereby northeast, entering the Central Florida Rail Corridor, before turning onto the power plant spur and running out to the Stanton Energy Center, where this coal will be burned to generate electricity for the surrounding areas such as residents, amusement parks, and even Disney World. As I mentioned, there will eventually be a video of me following one of these trains' journeys completely, but that ain't happening yet. Rolling down through the Richland crossovers, we have to say goodbye to our NO41, that is until the next one. The train had cleared us at Vitus, but it was only about 3:45 p.m., so we still had some time left, and we used that time to go get some food and gas after just about exhausting everything for the chase of that train. Afterwards, though, we'd make our way down to Plant City just to relax and wait out the rest of the day. We saw a couple other trains that we've seen a million times, but the last one is what I'm going to include here. And this train will end our day pretty much how it started. That 0823 consist that we chased out of Bradenton this morning is now the power and first set of cars on Q442, pulling the rest of Tampa's manifest freight out of Tampa going to Waycross. that's it, and that's all. The menacing thunderstorms that have been looming overhead all day would go headlong with us as we made our trip back south to home. But I was quite pleased as I looked back over my memory card to see what I had captured this day. And again, I hope for the most part that you are as well, because this is all we do. And until we're out, wherever it may be, I'll see you then on the Sunshine State Rails.